Okay, so let's get started with the introduction. Now, I'm going to be using the piano for the most part. I'll use this organ sound as well, but the organ sound is obviously, it's not that great. The reason I'm using piano, though, is because, you know what, a lot of times students are wondering, well, can I actually use piano? Yes, in these songs, just because you might not have the same organ patch that was used on the album, you could use piano, you could use a different organ sound, so you don't have to feel as you have to just use that organ patch. So I'm going to be using piano a lot. It's also a lot clearer to hear, because sometimes with the organ, especially as you'll notice in the transcription of the solo, sometimes it gets a little bit iffy as to what the exact notes are, because it's not as easy to hear with all that, when you start adding in all those other notes in there. So anyway, let's start with that introduction. Let me play it for you first of all. Typically it would be played with the organ, and it would just be the right hand. And then you know that I would be untrue, then it goes into the A section. All right, so let's talk about what the chords are first of all. Chords are pretty interesting. I'm not really sure how you would analyze it other than that it's cycle 4, cycle 5 motion, right? So we're moving to A major, even though the song is in A minor, okay? But we kind of end on A. So we're going from a G major to D major to F major to B flat major to E flat major to A flat major to A. It really kind of goes together in a weird way. And really what I was talking about in cycle motion is see how it goes up a fifth, and then to F, down a fifth, then E flat, then down a fifth, then to A. Notice that half step motion from A flat to A. Okay? Another way in which you can look at it is it's starting on the 7th, okay? Going down a 4th, then going down a step, down a 5th, down another step, down a 5th, to A. Okay? So if we were doing this in another key, let's say, I don't know, we were doing it in a key of, let's say, C minor, okay? So you'd start in a 7th, go down a 4th, down a step, down a 5th, down a step, down a 5th, then to C. Okay? That would be the chords. Anyway, moving back into the key of A. So we start on G to D to F to B flat to E flat to A flat to A. And notice I put the virtual keyboard in all sharps because for the most part we're going to be in A minor, okay? So we're going to want to stay in sharps. Well, I'm not going to get into why sharps, but anyway, it makes a little bit more sense when you have that F sharp there rather than a G flat. Okay, so the notes here, the right hand, okay, let's just go through it nice and slowly. All based off of that G tetrachord there. Middle finger, thumb, second, middle, pinky, then fourth finger on C. I would switch down probably to my middle or second finger. Probably do second finger because you come all the way up to the F, and then you can use your second finger on A flat, on G sharp, all right, or middle finger. But then make sure that you get your middle finger by here because you want your fourth finger on the B flat. Okay, so let's just take the first measure. I'm going to do it a few times, try it along with me. We can add the left hand down here, just do octaves. Next measure. Oops. That's easy, it's just an F triad. This is a little bit weird. This, going back and forth between the 6th to the flatted 7th. And measure 3. Get your middle finger on the A flat, that'd be fine, or second finger. You want to make sure at some point you get it to the middle finger though. This is a little bit weird. It's almost like an A flat over E flat or an E flat sus. Okay? But the thing is that Ray Manzarek is not playing chords, so it really doesn't get defined. And I believe that the guitars are probably just playing root 5, so it's really open. Get your middle finger on the F, because then you want to go to pinky on the A. So let's do measure 3, that's the tricky one. 2, 3. And measure 4 here. So it's root, 3rd, 5th, root, 5th, root, 3rd, 5th, then root, 3, 5, root, 5, root, 3, 5th. Remember, when I say 5 and 3 and stuff, I'm not talking finger numbers here. I'm talking the 3rd, the root, the 3rd, or the 5th of the chord, okay? So, now I can tell you that you don't have to play it like that. You could do whatever you want as long as it's on that A chord, all right? No one is really going to listen to it like, it's a little different. The reason that Ray Manzarek did it this way is, see where it ends? So it's all eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That's right, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The reason to end here is because then you can go back to the root on beat 1. If I did this, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, actually that would work if it did this though. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, actually, yeah, it would actually all work. So you'd be fine doing any one of them. But the thing is, the point is that notice he's not ending back on the A on the and of 4 and then having to hit A again. So it's not like 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, you know, so it's not having to hit A twice. Anyway, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, so let's do the whole introduction. Just going to play single note down here in the left hand, okay? Remember that you can also do it with octaves or roots and fifths. That give you a bigger sound as well. Bigger. Okay, and then real quickly with that organ patch, it sounds like this. So as you can hear, the organ patch isn't great. So anyway, play around with that. See you in the next chapter.